You ever feel like a guest in your own success? I mean, really. Like you're sitting at a table you built, legs, screws, finish, and someone else is carving the turkey, giving you the scraps like you should be grateful just to eat. That was me. My name is Imani Carter. I'm 41 years old, and for the last 15 years, I've been the invisible engine behind Carter and Company. Strategy Consultants, Atlanta's crown jewel for boutique, Black-owned corporate consulting. When I say invisible engine, I mean it. I built our pitch decks, personally closed $9.4 million in client contracts over the last 6 years, rebranded our firm after the 2012 dip, and doubled our social engagement across every platform without a single outsourced agency. You ever seen a firm grow from a sleepy downtown office with hand-me-down desks into a sleek, 2-floor glass suite in Midtown, filled with tech startup energy and catered breakfasts? That was me. My father, Leonard Carter, used to call me the closer. Not because I talked fast, Lord knows I take my time, but because when I walked into a boardroom, people listened. Strategy was my language. Clients didn't just want slides, they wanted stories, emotion, authority, and I gave it to them. So when Daddy decided to retire last year, I thought, no, I knew. This was it. Our moment. Mine and Marcus's. Marcus is my younger brother by 2 years. Sharp dresser, charming smile, great with a mic in his hand. He studied finance at Morehouse, interned at J.P. Morgan, and has a LinkedIn profile polished like patent leather. But he never built a damn thing from the ground up. He was Daddy's protege, yes, but I was Daddy's reflection. And I thought that meant something. Turns out, it didn't. It happened on a Thursday. I remember because I wore my navy silk blouse, the one Mama bought me when I landed the Cisco account. Said it made me look like money. I sat in the boardroom, coffee untouched, heart steady. The whole family was there. Aunt Denise, Uncle Richard, Marcus, Mama. Even Cousin Jamal was on Zoom from Miami, camera off, probably multitasking. Daddy sat at the head of the table, fingers steepled like always. He cleared his throat. "We're making it official," he said. "The next CEO of Carter and Company will be Marcus." Silence, then applause. I didn't clap. I couldn't. "For optics," Daddy added, almost like an afterthought. "Clients need clarity in leadership. One name, one face." I smiled. That tight, professional kind, the kind that makes your cheeks ache. "And Imani," he continued, "we want you as Vice President of Communications. You'll still lead strategy, of course, but this title fits your strengths." That word. Fits. Like I was being tailored into something smaller. When the meeting ended, everyone hugged Marcus. Mama kissed his cheek. Uncle Richard handed him a cigar like we'd just won the Super Bowl. Nobody even looked at me. Well, except Aunt Denise. She caught my eye across the room, raised her glass of sparkling cider and mouthed, "I see you." But even she didn't say a word out loud. Later that evening, Marcus pulled me aside in Daddy's old office. "Imani," he said, "this isn't about you being less than. It's about presentation. You're brilliant. But I'm the image people want to buy into. We're a package." I just looked at him. This boy, I say boy, because that's how he felt in that moment, really believed he was doing me a favor, that I'd be grateful to keep the gears turning while he waved from the top. He walked out with Daddy's monogrammed briefcase like it was some kind of crown. I took the VP role, quietly, coldly, didn't make a scene, didn't raise my voice. I just moved. I spent the next 6 weeks working in silence, smiling in meetings, flying to New York to meet our tech sector clients. Secured a $1.2 million contract with a fintech startup just to remind myself what I could do. Alone. Meanwhile, Marcus went full peacock. Photo shoots, press releases, motivational speeches. He launched a leadership legacy series on YouTube with his face front and center, called himself the Visionary Son. I watched one clip where he said, "My father passed the baton to me, and now I carry the legacy forward." No mention of me, of the woman who designed that damn baton. Let me be clear, this wasn't about ego. I didn't want the spotlight. I wanted respect, recognition, equity. Instead, I got demoted in my own house. And so, I did what smart women do when men try to hand us scraps. I started cooking something better in my own kitchen. Here's something they never teach in business school. Quiet women move markets. I started keeping notes, receipts, dates, copies of decks I built, email threads showing I led client acquisition, screenshots of campaign results that tied directly to my initiatives. Numbers don't lie, and baby, I had numbers. I kept a spreadsheet. $3.7 million in direct client acquisition attributed to me in 2021 alone. 6 major corporate retainers originated from my pitches. 78% average client retention on my accounts over 5 years. Meanwhile, Marcus was bleeding overhead, hiring brand consultants from LA, building expensive CRM systems we didn't need, and blowing $80,000 on a company retreat to Aspen for 6 staffers. All flash, no foundation, and I waited, because timing is everything. One night, I stood in the office after everyone left. Lights low, Atlanta glittering outside the floor-to-ceiling windows. I walked past the display wall, photos of Marcus and Daddy shaking hands, awards, our mission statement framed in gold. Then I saw it. The logo I'd designed back in 2019. Sleek. Modern. A phoenix wrapped around the letter C. They used it everywhere now. But you know what nobody knew? I owned it. The name. The logo. The tagline. Quietly trademarked under Carter Strategic Solutions, LLC, a shell I filed for future brand development. Daddy didn't notice. Marcus didn't care. But they would. Oh, they would. Because if they thought I was just the sidekick, they were about to learn what happens when the support role walks off stage and builds her own theater. I didn't storm out. No slamming doors, no grand declarations. Just a smile that didn't reach my eyes, and a calendar full of lunch meetings that no one bothered to question. The first call I made was to Tanya Richardson at Midtown Mutual. We'd worked together for 6 years. I'd walked her entire board through a brand repositioning that raised their community profile by 34% in 12 months. I'd been in her home, held her grandson. So when I said, "Tanya, I'm building something new," she didn't even blink. "When do we sign?" she asked. I didn't poach. I didn't beg. I simply reminded people who had really done the work. Quietly, strategically. I told them I'd be taking a different path, and if they wanted to walk with me, I'd be honored. No hard sell, no drama. Within 10 days, 3 of our largest accounts had followed me, all above board, all paper-trailed, logged, and reviewed by my lawyer, Miss Dolores Grant, 74 years old, tough as nails, and as Southern as sweet tea on Easter. She used to say, "Don't fight in the street, baby. Fight on paper. That's where the blood sticks." Dolores made sure it was all clean. I hadn't signed a non-compete. My work contracts were project-based. And most importantly, the strategy decks I took, they were mine. My name on every file, metadata tagged, time-stamped, stored on a private server I paid for out of my own pocket. The presentations that closed multi-million-dollar deals, I created them. Every slide, every word. And now I was building something new, on truth, on receipts, on legacy redefined. By the end of the second month, I'd taken $4.8 million worth of annual business with me. And Marcus? He barely noticed until the invoices stopped rolling in. He called me the first time like we were still playing nice. "Imani," he said, all smooth and clipped. "You got a minute?" I was in my home office, sipping tea, finalizing the branding for a private equity client that used to be ours. I put him on speaker. "Sure, Marcus. Tanya said she's working with you independently. You know that's a little out of line considering—" "Considering what?" I said, tone flat. He hesitated. "Considering you're still vice president of communications at Carter & Company." I smiled into my cup. "I resigned. Sent the paperwork last week. Ask HR. Silence." I waited. Then he said, "We'll see about that," and hung up. That was the moment I knew. He wasn't shocked that I left. He was shocked that I'd done it well. He thought I'd slink away, mourn the loss, find some hobby to distract myself while he plastered his face on Forbes articles and LinkedIn videos. Instead, I was already 10 steps ahead, and he didn't like that one bit. 2 days later, I got served. A lawsuit. Unlawful use of proprietary materials, client interference, brand confusion. His lawyer threw the whole dictionary at me. They thought they'd scare me, shake me, pull me into some backroom settlement and force an apology. Dolores just laughed. We sat in her Decatur office with sweet biscuits and paper files spread across the table like we were playing spades. "Baby girl," she said, flipping through the pages. "He's got air and ego. You've got proof. I'll take proof every day." We drafted the response in 3 hours flat. Attached metadata logs, emails, timestamps, copyright registrations. I'd covered every base. I wasn't reckless. I was ready. Marcus didn't realize it, but the day he tried to silence me with a lawsuit, he gave me a microphone. Because now, I had every right to go public. The rumor mill in Atlanta's business community is a slow churn, but when it turns, it burns. People started talking. "Why'd Imani leave?" "She built that whole brand." "Wasn't she the one who got them into the Black Enterprise Top 100? "She trademarked the name, didn't she?" "That's what I heard." The questions didn't come from me. I didn't leak anything. I didn't have to. The truth has a scent. And when folks catch wind of it, especially folks who've been in your corner quietly for years, they start following it. The next wave of clients came without me even calling. 3 more contracts. Another $2.3 million in annual retainers. Clean as a whistle. Papered up and paid in full. Marcus tried another angle. He had one of his assistants, poor girl, probably 24 and trembling, reach out to discuss amicable resolution. I sent back a short message. "There is nothing to resolve. I own my work. Please direct any future inquiries to my attorney." And that was it. No drama, no screaming match, no family intervention. I didn't need to yell. I had boundaries now. And Marcus didn't know what to do with a sister who didn't flinch, didn't argue, didn't chase. One night, Mama called. "Baby," she said softly, "can't you two just talk this out?" I sat in silence for a moment, listening to her voice. The same voice that had once told me to let Marcus have his moment. The same voice that had shushed me during family dinners when I spoke up too boldly. Not with cruelty, just with that soft, persistent message. Don't rock the boat. But boats need rocking sometimes. "Ma," I said gently. I tried talking. For 20 years. Nobody listened. She didn't respond, and I didn't explain. Because the truth is, women like me, Black women in business, with strategy minds and strong hearts, we are always expected to carry things. The weight, the legacy, the silence. Well, not anymore. By the 3rd month, Carter & Company was bleeding. Marcus tried to pivot. Threw up a podcast, hosted networking mixers, even offered a loyalty discount to hold on to old clients. But you can't discount your way out of a reputation shift. Not when your foundation is built on someone else's labor. I wasn't just building a new business. I was reclaiming my narrative, one block at a time, one client at a time. And baby, it was working. The revenge? It wasn't loud. It wasn't flashy. It was legal. It was elegant. And it was earned. I always knew it would come to this. Not because I wanted it. Lord knows I tried every avenue to avoid a war. But because when you build something with your bare hands and they try to bury you under it, you either let it crush you or you dig your way out and flip the whole damn table. Let me take you back. 2 years before all this went down, before Daddy officially stepped down, before Marcus walked into that boardroom like he'd inherited a throne, I was sitting alone in my condo, going over logo drafts at 2 a.m. It was the third version of the rebrand I'd pitched. Modern, clean, bold. Exactly what Carter & Kober's needed to attract younger tech clients and expand our portfolio. I'd designed the new slogan myself, built by legacy, driven by vision. Daddy loved it, said it gave him goosebumps. Marcus? He glanced at the deck once and said, "It's fine. Just make sure it looks good on a golf shirt." I remember staring at him that day, something in my gut whispering, "File the paperwork." So I did. Not out of spite, but out of foresight. I registered the trademark to the logo, the slogan, and most critically, the business name itself, not Carter & Company in its original legal entity, which Daddy owned, but Carter & Company Strategic Group, the name we'd been using in our branding, marketing, social media, pitch decks, the name everyone knew us by, quietly, cleanly, in my name. It cost me $2,750 in filing fees and a few long meetings with an intellectual property attorney out in Cobb County, worth every penny. Back then, I wasn't sure if I'd ever need to use it. I just knew I had to protect what I'd built. And now? Now the time had come. Marcus was still puffing his chest around Atlanta like he was the second coming of Robert F. Smith. He'd updated the website, replacing every image that had my face or my name. He launched a video series called The Carter Legacy, where he sat in leather chairs and talked about visionary leadership while quoting books he never read. Worse, he started telling clients Imani Carter had left to focus on family. I don't even have a damn dog, let alone a family to focus on. When I heard that, something in me snapped clean in two. Dolores helped me draft the letter. Short. Director. Razor sharp. Dear Mr. Marcus Carter, you are hereby notified that your continued use of the name Carter & Company Strategic Group, its derivatives, and all associated branding constitutes an infringement of a registered trademark filed under my legal ownership. Please cease and desist all use within 7 business days to avoid legal escalation. We sent it by certified mail, and for dramatic effect, we emailed it to the entire executive contact list, CCing his lawyer. The fallout hit faster than I expected. I was sitting in a nail salon in Buckhead, gel polish halfway cured, when my phone started vibrating like it had a heartbeat. Text after text, emails, DMS. What's going on? Did you really own the name? Marcus looks like he's seen a ghost. Within hours, the firm's LinkedIn banner vanished. The website homepage redirected to a blank splash screen that said, "Site under maintenance." That Friday, Marcus called me. I let it go to voicemail. His message? Breathless, panicked. "Imani, we need to talk. I didn't know you. Look, this is serious. Call me back, please." Imagine that. 3 weeks earlier, he was trying to sue me into submission. Now he was begging for a conversation. I didn't return the call. not out of cruelty, but because, at that point, there was nothing left to say. The lawyers handled everything. His firm had no legal right to the brand name, the slogan, or the logo. He couldn't use Carter and Company or even imply an association with the strategic group. He had to start over. That meant new business entity registration, new domain name, new social media handles, new email addresses for over 40 employees, reprinting marketing materials, stationery, swag, and the worst blow of all, explaining it to the clients. They were furious, confused, suspicious. One by one, they started calling me, not asking. They knew where the real leadership lived. Jamal from Porter Tech said it best. I didn't care about the damn name Imani. I cared about who answered the phone at 7 p.m. when my campaign metrics crashed. That was always you. It wasn't revenge. Not really. It was clarity. A mirror, held up to a man who spent his life performing power instead of earning it. And what did Marcus do next? Well, in true Marcus fashion, he tried to spin it. He renamed the company MRC Strategies, his initials, like anyone knew or cared what they stood for. He launched a public statement claiming an exciting rebrand to reflect the evolving leadership culture. But people aren't stupid, especially not the clients who'd watched me build every brick of that empire from the inside. The shift was seismic, subtle, but powerful. By the next quarter, over 70% of our former client base had signed with my new firm, not because I asked, but because I showed them what leadership really looked like. And what did it feel like walking through those days? It felt like standing on solid ground for the first time in my life. No longer the woman behind the curtain, no longer the support role, just me, in full light, on my own terms. And for all his maneuvering, all his bluster, Marcus had to swallow a bitter truth. He lost the game he thought he invented. Because while he was chasing legacy in headlines and hashtags, I was protecting it in paperwork and principles. There's a moment, just one, I'll never forget. I was leaving a meeting downtown, late evening, orange dusk in the Atlanta sky, when I saw him across the street, alone. Wearing that tailored blue suit he always thought made him look presidential. He saw me. We didn't wave, didn't speak. But I watched him pause, just for a second, like he was going to cross the street, and didn't. That was when I knew he wasn't angry anymore. He was afraid. Afraid of the story being rewritten, accurately, finally, without him in the lead. And me? I walked away, head high, name intact, future secure. I dropped the name, and baby, it landed like thunder. I didn't sleep the night before the expo. Not because I was nervous, at least not in the trembling, uncertain way I used to feel before every big pitch under Marcus's shadow. This was different. It was like the air was vibrating, like the sky itself was holding its breath. The Atlanta Business and Innovation Expo was the crown jewel of the city's corporate calendar. 3 full days, thousands of attendees, Wall Street reporters, tech scouts, VCs, rising stars. And this year, Imani Carter had booked the prime stage slot, Center Hall Saturday, 3 p.m. That space used to be Marcus's playground. Now it was mine. I wore navy, tailored, crisp, gold cuffs, soft curls, not trying to impress, just arriving. My new team had transformed our booth into a vision. Clean white and slate blue banners that read Carter and Company Strategic Group. Except this time, the name beneath was clear and commanding. Founder and CEO, Imani Carter. I stood before a branded archway lined with photographs of our real work. Corporate turnarounds, community impact programs, award-winning campaigns, all with my fingerprints on them. Not a borrowed name, not a legacy lent, but a firm rebuilt. I spotted them early. Former clients, executives I used to brief in rooms where I wasn't introduced by title. They came toward me in waves, handshakes, hugs, knowing glances that said, "We see you now. We always should have. Porter Tech, Lennox Pharma." Even that difficult VP from the finance firm who used to act like I was Marcus's assistant. He came over with a sheepish grin and said, "I think we'll be needing your team next quarter. Let me tell you, it wasn't the applause that moved me. It was the quiet, reverent respect. The kind that can't be demanded. Only ear." Then it happened. I glanced across the expo floor, past the LED lighting and booth banners and the overpriced bottled water, and I saw him, Marcus. He was standing next to a sad little vinyl sign that read, "MRC Strategies. Vision for tomorrow." No line, no traffic. Just an intern nervously scrolling on a tablet and a half-empty coffee cup on the corner of his table. He looked small, not just in stature, in presence. Like someone had popped the balloon of his ego and left him holding the deflated rubber, wondering how it slipped away. Our eyes met, and I expected him to look away, but he didn't. He held my gaze, and for the first time, there was no smugness, no anger, just confusion, maybe even grief. Like he realized the empire he tried to steal had been resting in my hands the whole time, and now he couldn't even touch it. The stage call came over the speaker system. Now presenting, Carter and Company Strategic Group, founder and CEO, Amani Carter. The spotlight followed me up the stairs. The microphone was warm in my hand. The silence in the hall was the kind that stretches, heavy with anticipation, ripe with power. I spoke clearly, not loud, not fast, just honest. Some of you know me as the voice behind the curtain, the quiet strategist, the woman in the room who made things work. But today, I stand before you not as the helper, but as the builder. There was a murmur, then a round of applause. I paused, breathing it in. For years, I believed loyalty meant silence. I believed family meant sacrifice without recognition. I believed if I kept my head down, someone would see the work and give me my due. But the truth is, nobody gives you power. You have to take it, ethically, legally, with receipts, preparation, and clarity. And so, when the time came, I didn't fight dirty. I fought smart. Laughter and applause broke out like thunder. What you see here today, this firm, this brand, this vision, is not revenge. It's reclamation. It's what happens when a woman stops waiting for permission and starts leading with conviction. The crowd stood, not clapped, stood. And as I looked across the sea of faces, I saw something even better than admiration. I saw reflection, especially from the women in that audience. Women with tired eyes and sharp minds who had been there, overlooked, passed over, written out of their own stories. I closed my talk with a simple truth. Legacy doesn't live in a name. It lives in who protects it. When I stepped down, a young intern from a startup asked for a selfie. Another woman, maybe early 60s, silver locks and a Chanel bag, grabbed my hand and whispered, "I waited my whole career for someone to say that out loud." Then came my mother. She didn't say a word at first. She walked up slowly, wearing that plum suit Daddy always liked. Her eyes were shiny, but her chin held high. She took both my hands, held them for a second longer than I expected, then slipped something into my palm. A small folded note. Old school. Her handwriting on floral stationery. I opened it later, after the room emptied and the adrenaline wore off. It read, "He wanted a son to carry the name. You made it mean something. Your father would be proud. Mama." I sat in that empty booth for a minute, just staring at the ceiling, not crying, not overwhelmed, just full. Full of the kind of peace that comes when the long fight ends, not with a scream, but with a standing ovation. The Carter name was mine now, not inherited, not gifted, but reclaimed through resilience, intelligence, and unapologetic self-worth. And I wasn't done yet. It didn't happen all at once. Power rarely announces itself with fireworks. It settles in quietly, like early morning sun through an open window. Software, steady, undeniable. Marcus stepped down 4 months after the expo. There was no press release, no formal statement, just a quiet little memo sent to the board. Effective immediately, Marcus Carter will transition out of his leadership role at MRC Strategies. Word got around, though. You can't hide a fall from grace when the walls echo with the sound of your own ambition collapsing. He sold his remaining shares a month later. I bought them, every last one. No banks, no partners, just me. Paid in full. Wire transfer. 7 figures. I didn't even blink. It wasn't about ownership at that point. It was about closure. My name was now on every legal document, every certificate, every record. Not out of vanity, but clarity. No one could erase me again. Not from the boardroom, not from history. And I didn't just stop there. I flipped the whole firm. Carter and Company became a leadership incubator, a space built for us. Black women who had been silenced in staff meetings, passed over for promotions, handed crumbs, and told to be grateful. We launched the Elevate Her program, mentorship, executive coaching, capital access. Our first cohort had 35 women, all brilliant, all underestimated. By year 2, they were landing C-suite roles, launching consulting firms, winning awards. And I saw myself in each of them. Not the polished CEO, the woman I used to be, the one who stayed late without credit, who wrote decks and let someone else present them, who bit her tongue in the name of family. One day, I was sitting in our new office, floor-to-ceiling windows, fresh orchids on the desk, a quiet jazz playlist floating through the room, and a young woman knocked gently and peeked her head in. She couldn't have been more than 26. Nervous eyes, straight spine. Folder clutched to her chest like armor. "Hi," she said. I just wanted to say, your story. It changed how I see myself. I never thought someone like me could lead like that." I smiled and waved her in. She stepped closer. Then she asked the question. "How did you do it? Really?" I laughed. Not loud, just a soft chuckle that came from someplace deep and knowing. Then I told her the truth, with receipts, boundaries, and a little legal help. She smiled, like I'd just handed her the blueprint to a door she'd never been allowed to knock on. And maybe I had, because that's the thing about rising. You don't just climb, you reach back. You pull others up. You build something bigger than ego, stronger than legacy. You build impact. My father once told me that building a legacy wasn't about the name you give it. It's about the values you protect. And now, I protect excellence. I protect dignity. I protect the brilliance of Black women who've been told to wait their turn for far too long. I don't wait anymore, and neither should you. If this story spoke to you, if it moved something inside you, reminded you of your own worth, or made you rethink your boundaries, I want you to do 3 things. Like this video, leave a comment below and tell me what part hit home for you, and subscribe to the channel so you never miss another story of power, truth, and transformation. Because this isn't just one woman's story. It's a movement. And you, sis, you belong in it. Always.